So I looked at my schedule and I saw on the agenda that that this talk that the organizer had asked me for 2 hours, and there was a part 1 and a part 2, and oh, that's interesting. I don't have a part 2. What am I going to talk about? The talk is an hour. I could talk slowly in the first hour, stretch it a bit. But I said, no, I'll just take another one. Another one is even more popular than the first one, my other one. I changed the sheet. This is now part 2. Don't tell the organizers, but it's actually another talk. But it's now part 2. But actually, they nicely join. Because the first one is about the life cycle stage and the vortex, and basically lots of expectations of me, people changing their behaviors, and that's I'm sure something that that you have some experience with as well. We want everyone in the organization to change their behaviors, do things differently, because we have ideas about lean startup, design thinking, or whatever it is. Changing practices depending on life cycle stages, lots of convincing to do. Now, I would like to go back to that convincing part, to that persuasion. One question that I often get at conferences, Jurgen, we want to help people improve engagement. How do you motivate our people and improve engagement in the company? Does anyone recognize that question? Have seen it before in their own environments? Yeah, no surprise. Lots of hands go up. Yeah. How many have seen this kind of question? We want to scale agile practices and principles to large organizations. Scaling. Anyone? Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, lots of hands. Okay, and how many of you have seen this kind of question? We want to grow faster and change faster, but also be agile. We want everything, Jurgen, everything. Well, our organization wants to have everything, our CEOs. Yes, I knew it. You're the same as everyone else on the planet. No difference whatsoever. The Swedes are just like the Germans and the Brazilians. Everyone has the same issues. So the comment that we find sometimes is that there's not enough change. You've heard it before, I think. Yeah, people don't change. There's not enough change happening. And I try my best with workshops, and I do another one tomorrow and the day after in Stockholm. I write books and those speeches. I try to contribute with what I can do, but the result is always the same. There's not enough change. There's this slide page that keeps appearing in year after year in the State of Agile report. I think they're at edition 13 now. I'm not sure, but the result is the same anyways. Because always, organizational culture is at odds with Agile values, and there's a resistance to change. That's it. Every year, same thing. Nothing ever changes. So that's sad. It's a bit depressing, really. People resist change. No. That's what Agile coaches and consultants then come in and say, no, they resist being changed. Well, the result is the same, isn't it? Who cares? They're not changing. So what do? That's the problem. There's not enough change. So let's see. How many of you have resisted this change? No smartphones. Who does not have a smartphone still resisting this change? Let me see. Any people resisting that change? Ta-da! Awesome. You're the last one. You will be famous very soon. Wonderful. Okay, how many of you have never played games before? Not on a smartphone, not tablets, whatever. Just no games. No, I don't like that. That's not what I do. And how many? A couple of hands go up. Okay. How many have never used streaming audio or video? No Spotify, no Netflix, or Netscape if you want. No, no iTunes, just a book on paper. Yeah. Who does not do any streaming? Let me see any hands. All right, so let's just conclude that there has been a lot of change in the world. At the individual level, at least. We love changing when it makes sense. So I say, are you kidding me? Not enough change? Just look around you. Anyone who claims that people resist change is just being I'm sorry, this has to be incognizant. That's a spelling error, sorry. I mean that people don't know how change works. It's a difficult topic. It's not easy to convince somebody else to change their behaviors, whether it is a business lifecycle thinking or innovation vortex or whatever. We always want to impress people with new ideas and get them to change their behaviors. So, problem number one. We want agility at scale, but nobody knows how to do that, how to change. That's a starting position. Let's see if I can make a bit of difference there. And there is a lot of change happening because I did a bit of digging around into the trend reports just last year, and I came up with this list from Deloitte and Accenture and you name it. They all have organizational agility somewhere on the list, and the employee experience, and the digitization, of course, and robotics and AI. Lots of change is happening, but that requires that the organization changes. And that needs to be a topic that needs some attention. So I'm inspired by the following metaphor. Does anyone recognize this?
Je peux me transformer comme je le veux. Regardez. Hup, hup, hup.
And then he says, Barbatruc.
Barbatruc.
This was Barba Papa. Anyone remember that? Yes. Wasn't he amazing? It could change into any form. Sometimes it was a square, sometimes a circle. Whoa, awesome. And that's how he escaped from a zoo where he was imprisoned and things like that. Here's another one. Maybe some of you recognize this.
Hello, Quark.
Who was that? Odo from Deep Space Nine. Very good. And Odo was which species? Shapeshifter named. Oh, part of a global, of a bigger group. You remember that? The Dominion. Very good. Yes, the washing machine winner over here. Yes. So the Dominion, that was a collection of species spanning a galaxy, and they were pretty brutal and suppressing other species in the galaxy. Basically, they wanted everyone to look up to them, otherwise they would blast that planet from space. Sort of a United States in space, you could say. Sorry. But Odo was the nice one. He was the friendly one, and he was a security agent. And then it comes in handy when you're a shapeshifter, when you could change any form. Sometimes he was a chair, sometimes he was a dog, and he was always after Quark because he was the smuggler on the space station. What about this one? Remember him? I'm sure you do. That was the T-1000. Very good, awesome. Still the best Terminator movie, of course, Terminator 2. So he could change into any form, and sometimes he had a fist of steel punch someone through the face. That was a ghastly scene, if you remember that one. And other moments he was dripping from the ceiling behind somebody's back. Drip, drip, drip. Ooh, very scary. So I like that metaphor of changing form depending on circumstances. So here's another one. She is Mystique from X-Men. Very good. So Jennifer Lawrence gets paid $20 million for walking around naked. Isn't that amazing? I get nothing. I tried. I did not try blue, I have to admit. Next time I try blue, see if the money comes in. Anyways, yeah, so shapeshifter, I like the metaphor of shapeshifting. Some people they're not so good at marketing. They call it ambidextrous organizations. I don't even know how to spell it. It means that you have that you can do both well. You can both be centralized and decentralized. You're both hard and soft, and basically you benefit from two sides of the spectrum: solid and liquid, organized and self-organized. Why is that important? That shape-shifting? Because the world around us changes all the time, and we need people to do new things all the time in organizations. That means that we have to be able to change ourselves faster, adopt new forms, be a bit more like shapeshifters. And of course, we have some suggestions on how to achieve this. Holacracy is a famous example. nudges or suggests you to be a bit more liquid with your organization. But I would say it is 90% liquid and then still 10% solid, because there's a constitution that defines in detail how you should have governance meetings and how you should define new roles and things like that. That's defined in the constitution. Another example, the Spotify model, all the rage nowadays. Don't know if you Swedes should be proud of that or not. But all of Europe is trying to implement the Spotify model, in quotes. Everyone at Spotify is laughing about it. Well, we're not even following the Spotify model. But good luck with it. And but there's good ideas in there for sure that we can learn from and be inspired by. But it is for some people an example of how to be self-organized. But there is plenty of organization as well. It is not only liquid, it is also solid. Do you know how the tribe leads get to become tribe leads? The managers assign them. I asked. I said, yeah, that's how it works. It's just pure traditional organizational structure. Nothing wrong with that because it works. And then we have, oh God, the scaled agile framework. Okay, so lots of good ideas in there. I'm not complaining about SAFe. I will not do that. So they borrow good ideas from many sources. So the ideas are good. It's just the packaging that I have a bit of an issue with. It is this static picture that you're looking at. In a case like this, it's a bit like a picture of Odo in the middle of a transformation, right? He's neither a dog nor a toilet. You can't play with it. You can't shit on it either. You can't do nothing. It's static. I want something that changes form. So that's my goal. I would like to be able to deal with goals that change all the time. So sometimes I need to be organized, sometimes self-organized. It depends, and that's quite a challenge, I can tell you. So let's dig a bit deeper. Anyone familiar with this problem? I'm sure you've heard of it. I found it so funny the first times when the British said that we want to take back our autonomy. I thought, what? And then they just said goodbye. They invoked Article 50 and we're out of here. Did they ask any of you here in the audience whether it was okay if they quit? They didn't ask me. They didn't ask anyone else. They just said, we're out of here. Well, if you can do that without needing permission, you already had autonomy. There's no reason for taking it back. So I didn't get it. But anyways, there are reasons why some people say it's not a very smart decision, because there are reasons for doing things at a central level. Sometimes it makes sense to get together and make one rule for everyone. I travel by plane a lot across Europe. Pilots travel across 7 countries in 2 hours, basically. It is convenient for them to know that the laws are the same all across the continent. These things are negotiated at a European level. That makes a lot of sense. So decisions are sometimes more efficient when they are centralized, and they're more effective when they are decentralized. And so we need a bit of both, depending on circumstances. Now, it is true that in many organizations we have too much of that. Too much centralization. These are like 7 levels of delegation. If someone is familiar with Management 3.0 terminology, level 1 is dictatorship, basically. Pure dictatorship. Managers telling everyone what to do. And then at level 7, we have anarchy, total, pure self-organization. And that would be the ideal for some agilists around the world. At least that's my feeling that I get when I am at agile conferences, scrum gatherings or whatever. When I listen to the conversations, and people always idolize the self-organizing aspect, as if the ideal organization is 30,000 self-organizing dot-voting hippies. And I don't think that's agile. I don't think that's the whole intention of being agile. Sure, we need more of that compared to what organizations have now, but for me this is agility. Being able to switch depending on circumstances. Yes, of course, we need to push things a bit in that direction, but sometimes we have to take back the reins. When the ship is sinking, the captain should take control. That's what that person is taught to do. He had an education that's to tell us, to give us instructions in case of emergency. We're not going to vote about who leaves the ship first, right? Makes no sense. So the captain takes charge, and then the rule is the captain leaves last, right? Unless it's an Italian cruise ship. So that is important, to change behavior depending on circumstances. You don't want to lose the benefits of control while achieving the benefits of self-organization that we definitely want to have, of course. But there are some benefits of having an European Union, despite the fact that it's a very bureaucratic organization. I know, because I live in Brussels. I have a first-hand experience there. But there are benefits. So for me, agility means self-balanced, not only self-organized. It all depends on circumstances. And I totally get that there is this frustration from framework makers about how people deal with these topics. This is a sentence from the Scrum Guide from Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland. Scrum's roles, artifacts, events, and rules are immutable. You cannot change them. And even though parts of Scrum are possible, implementing parts, the result is not Scrum. I feel a little bit of frustration here, don't you think? I feel a bit of... and I understand that, because yes, there have been people who said, look, we do daily stand-ups in the morning. We're doing Scrum. And then these guys are like, no, that's just a daily stand-up. Good for you. That's a good starting point, but it's not Scrum yet. There's more to do to call it Scrum. It's as if you ran 2 kilometers and you said, I just completed a marathon. No, it's 2 kilometers. Good for you. Now you're on your way to a marathon, 40 more kilometers to go. And so I understand that bit of frustration of the creators of Scrum. But the impact that it has on another group of people, this kind of language, the more uncertain kinds of people, so it's not Scrum unless we do everything. We have to do it all by the book, otherwise we're not allowed to call it Scrum. So they follow all the rules. They do everything in the Scaled Agile framework, otherwise it's not safe. It's not safe unless we do everything in the picture. It's a very difficult discussion to have, because both sides of that conversation are wrong, of course. And my thinking then is, if people experience this as we have to do everything from the list, all of the menu, we have to eat it all, the entire menu, otherwise we're not done, then you're pushing a framework onto people. Well, there should be pull. They should pull ideas from a backlog of improvement suggestions, one after the other, and many of those will come from frameworks and models full of good suggestions. But to the capacity of the team, they should be pulling improvement suggestions. So my criticism is methods and frameworks are full of good ideas, but the packaging is just absolutely terrible. And that is problematic, is this the best way that we have come up with such a change program so far, is by offering frameworks and models, toolboxes full of suggestions. And I prefer the term toolbox usually over framework, because with a toolbox there's less of the problem that people interpret this as we have to do all the tools. No, with a toolbox you don't have to do all the tools. With a framework, then people think, yeah, we have to do the entire framework. So difficult conversations. I prefer to turn those big picture frameworks into small picture roadworks. The entire organization is under construction, always, like in Brussels, everything is always under construction. It drives me completely nuts, but at least they're trying to improve the infrastructure. And sometimes this is under construction, sometimes that. We're always improving things to our capacity, at the rate at which we can handle such improvements. Now, why do people change? This is my favorite part of my talk. Why do people change? I was promoting my previous book, Managing for Happiness, 2.5 years ago in the US. I have a new book tour upcoming, yay, in May. One thing I remember well, my favorite stories, I was in Union Square in New York City at some point, and there were people from all over the world, and lots of languages, and lots of skin colors, and clothes, and hairstyles, etc. But everyone was playing this game. You remember that?
Oh yes! Oh yes!
Pokemon! People going around with their smartphones, complete strangers talking with each other, comparing the monsters they had found, and then someone pointed out, hey, there's a Snorlax has just appeared, run! And then the entire crowd was off to Central Park. And I sat there on the bench in the park with a mouth like this. I thought the world has gone insane. What is happening? I took videos of it. This is the apocalypse. It's starting now. And at the same time, I had an aha moment, because I thought, as an author and speaker, I try so hard to get people to change their behaviors, and it's very, very difficult. And us coaches and consultants, it takes us years to just have 500 people change their behaviors. And then in 3 weeks, everyone is playing Pokemon Go. It's not fair. How do they do that? I want within 3 weeks everyone to be playing moving motivators. And they're not doing it. So I thought maybe I should look at myself and learn better how to achieve such change. What is it that makes people play these games in just a span of a couple of weeks, millions of them? Well, the problem is that with frameworks and models, usually we bring them like this. Is white guys like me with gray hair. They come from the mountain with their PowerPoint tablets full of rules, and then they say, starting next week, thou shalt honor thy product owner and scrum master. Starting next week, thou shalt not kill thy customer. Etc., etc., rule after rule after rule. And these are all the rules, and now good luck, and we'll give you a coach. To implement, we'll call it the reverend, perhaps, or something, the priest, I don't know, to keep explaining the rules. And it sounds very boring. Sounds very boring, this kind of change program. And it reminds me a bit of this book. I like running. And actually, one of my first runs, I often told it to people, one of my first runs was in Stockholm a couple of years ago, when I decided I wanted to run because I needed to work on at my fitness level. And I ran 7 kilometers, and everything hurt in my whole body. I discovered muscles I didn't know I had because they hurt. And I thought, okay, I have to start from scratch, start all over, and I did a bit of reading. How to do running well. And that meant having a certain body posture, straight up spine, keep your belly tucked in, place your feet well, lean forward, and just fall forward. That's the natural way that we run, and then that solved all the problems. I had to do a little bit of reading. But one of the books I got was this one, The Running Formula. And when I flipped through the pages, it contained page after page, after page, after page of instructions. In phase 2 of your running program, stage 3, on Tuesday, thou shalt run 10 kilometers, and on Wednesday, thou shalt do a long run of 15, but slowly, and on Thursday, you take a break, and on Friday, and I looked at those pages and thought, oh my God, I felt all the motivation drain from my body, basically. I didn't want to run, I wanted to drink. I want to start drinking. It's no surprise that the author of the book is called Jack Daniels, as you can see. I'm onto something here. I don't think anyone is doing any running after this book, but sales of Jack Daniels. So, yeah. So, but this is the kind of change program that companies suffer from, basically. Oh, lots of rules, and these are all the problems that they result in. Just do Google for change programs, why they fail, and you have all these issues coming up. And but games work. People play Pokemon Go. They didn't get a 2-day class of a certified Pokemon mastership, and then with lots of PowerPoints, and here's how to play it. No. All of the neurological and physiological systems that underlie happiness are fully activated by gameplay, said Jane McConnell in her fascinating book, Reality is Broken. I love the title, by the way. So games make us happy. That's why we play them. And what is it that people do in games? Well, let's take a look at an example. This is World of Warcraft. I don't know if it's still the same, but a couple of years ago, on average, people played 22 hours per week World of Warcraft. That's half of a work week that they played on average. And what did they do in World of Warcraft? Well, finding stuff, finding tools, and learning things, and talking with team members, and forming teams with others, call them squads or something, doing projects with each other, Scrum projects. Oops, there goes the Scrum Master, as you can see, now on fire. Typical Scrum project. And then they do one iteration after the other, and then the customer says,
"You're too late, old friend." No.
"You're too late."
more
How typical,
chaos.
how typical.
Just you and me.
But the customer says,
I challenge you to Makora.
"You just got a new project, basically. You were too late, but okay, here's the next project." They call that a quest. But the same thing. You have to find more tools and new team members, and oh my God, how do we fill this role? And it's fun. It makes people happy. They say, "Give me more projects to do. I will pay you. Here, this is my money. Blizzard, take my money. I want you to give me more projects." Isn't that fascinating? So I think we can learn from that. Game developers know better than anyone else how to inspire extreme effort and reward hard work, is what Jane said in her book. How can we make work feel more like a game? It should be fun. It should make us happy. And it doesn't feel like fun when somebody comes from a mountain with PowerPoint tablets and giving us instructions. So we can do better. Well, this is called gamification. This is the application of gameful ideas, game techniques to real-world situations, real-world contexts. It is not the same as serious games. They're related, but a serious game, like Lego Serious Play, is awesome, for example. That is a game, actual gaming that people do with the intention of learning something from it that you can then transpose to your real life situation. Gamification is not that. It is doing your real work, but in a way that makes it feel as if you're playing a game. Right? I'm not playing Lego Serious Play to mimic me running. No, I actually run, but I make it a bit of a game by giving myself points and running a streak and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of streaks, that's one game technique, a very famous game technique. Seinfeld was once said that he used the "don't break the chain" technique, or extend the streak, for writing jokes. Every day he had to write good jokes. If he had written good jokes, he ticked it off of the calendar and had to make the streak as long as possible. I now do the same with running. I run every day. I started doing that on Christmas Eve, and my first streak was 58 days. And then I had to stop because I was in a game reserve in Namibia. If I had started running, I would have run along the lions. They strongly advised me not to do that. So, okay, I took a break and started my streak again from scratch a couple of days later. So it works wonders with children as well. If you want them to brush their teeth twice per day, you give them a box of stickers, you give them a calendar. So if you brush your teeth twice per day, once in the morning, once in the evening, you take a sticker, put it on the calendar. Magic. Magic. So this is gamification at work. Some people try gamification and they do it badly. I heard one story that I sat in the audience like you, was someone talking about gamification. It was actually a Dutch guy. I sort of apologizing for that. He said, we have an app in our company, was a Dutch telecom provider. And they had stores around the country. And everyone was incentivized to give each other feedback. And every time you gave feedback to another person, peer-to-peer feedback, you got a point. Oh, interesting. And that feedback was through the app. So if you gave feedback to her and said, well, maybe tomorrow you could be on time, huh? So, ka-ching, you get a point. Feeling happy? Yay. Then you give him feedback perhaps, say, well, you could smile a bit more often to the customer, perhaps, ka-ching, you get a point. And I sat in the audience, I thought, okay, what's the point? What's the point of the points? Where does this lead? So I asked at the end, so what's the purpose of the game? Well, to be the one with the most points, duh. Well, what if I don't care? Well, most people care, because we have a leaderboard and people want to be at the top of the leaderboard. Okay, all right. Well, next question, does management participate in the points giving? He said, no. Management just looks at the data. All right. Well, I had a Jean-Luc Picard moment at that point, I can tell you. Terrible. It is gamification. True, it is gamification, but it is a very poor implementation. This is my favorite model that I found online by Yu-Kai Chu, who is one of the world's experts on gamification. And he has this model that he calls octalysis or octalysis, don't know how to pronounce it. With 8 corners. And basically, more or less, the left part is the rational part, the rational techniques, that part is the rational part, and that part is the emotional part. The top is positive motivation, and the bottom is negative motivation. And he said, yeah, very often people only do points, which is there. In that corner. Status points, leaderboards, progress bars. Yes, that motivates us, some people at least, because we love accomplishments. We love seeing that we're number 1, or number 2, close to the top. That makes us feel good. But there are lots of other things that we can do that are gamification as well, and that have nothing to do with points. Actually, his book, his subtitle is Beyond Points, Badges, and Leaderboards, because he also recognizes that the traditional implementation is just, let's give each other points, and that will be gamification. So bad. So I'll give you other examples. Kudo cards, popular practice in Manager 3.0, just tokens of appreciation, thank you notes that you write for other people. I stole it from a company in Poland where I first saw them, and then I saw them elsewhere in other companies as well. So just a practice that works. In 8 out of 10 companies, it catches on. 2 out of 10 doesn't do a thing. It's just people don't want to use the Kudo cards. So someone walked up to me and said, Jurgen, what do? We have mountains of these cards available all over the offers and nobody is using them. What can I do? I said, well, maybe that's the problem. You have too much available. Because there is such a thing as people being motivated by that which is rare. If you have 2 cookie jars, scientists know this, researchers know this, and then one is nearly full, the other is nearly empty, people want cookies from the nearly empty cookie jar. Because those are the better cookies. There are just a few left. They're rare. They're the same cookies, but we don't care. We want those. Except for the last one, that would be impolite, of course. We don't take it. Well, except for the Dutch. We take the last cookie. It's the best one, I can tell you that. So that's how it works with motivation. Gold is valuable because it is rare. We cannot do anything with it. It's useless metal, basically. But because there's so little of it, everyone wants it. So that is in the scarcity area of the model. One particular technique is called magnetic cap. Just set an artificial limit to what is available. So I said to that person, I would not make mountains of Kudo cards available. I would lock them up. Lock them. Nobody can access them. They don't even know that there are many. Every person gets 3 cards per week. That's it. They have to do with the 3 cards. If they lose them, tough luck. They get new 3 cards next week. That's it. Make them valuable by having only a few available. And then I assure you, you will see response rates going up. You just set the cap and it has a magnetic effect. Game designers do this all the time. Make things rare. Another example, someone said, Jurgen, we have this Friday afternoon drink that we find very important at 3:30 Friday afternoon. Fika, a bit of coffee, whatever, and then socialize, and then we go home or something. But very few people show up. Most people already go home. It's only the agile coaches show up because they have nothing else to do. So what can I do about that? I said, well, I tried to gamify it somehow. Can you gamify it? Can you take a silly selfie every Friday afternoon? Take a silly selfie with the people who are there. Take a silly selfie, Polaroid or whatever, put it up on a coffee machine or somewhere where everyone can see it, and you start filling the wall with silly selfies. It will become a thing. And then some people will notice that some are never on the silly selfies. The social pressure will start increasing. Some people may have creative ideas of how to take the selfie even sillier. Those are not silly selfies. Come on, I have a silly idea. But then you have to be there to claim the honor of the silly selfie. It's all social stuff over there. That is also gamification. Has nothing to do with points or whatever. But plenty of social engineering in games that you can also apply in organizations. I have an example of my personal life. A long time ago, I was about 11 years old in the 17th century or so. I was taking part in the 4-day swimming challenge. It was organized in our town. Basically meant that the kids of the various local schools were invited to come to the town's swimming pool to do 20 laps. 4 days in a row, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 20 laps each night, each evening after school. And it was not really Olympic size. It felt Olympic size, okay, because I was just 10 years old, so trust me, it felt really big. And I did that, 20 on Thursday, done. I got out, showered, dressed, I took a medal, and I went home. Next year, I was 11. I participated again, 20 years on Monday, 20 on Tuesday, 20 on Wednesday, and on Thursday, I was so tired. And the swimming pool was twice larger, I kid you not. Somehow it got a lot bigger, the end was not in sight, and I felt I was nearly drowning, and I just had it after 16 laps. I couldn't take it anymore. Nobody was paying any attention. We had to do our own counting, basically. The teachers, they were in the cafe drinking. They probably had read Jack Daniel's running book or something. They were drinking. And I thought, okay, screw everyone. I'm out of here. I got out of the swimming pool. I showered, I dressed, I took a medal, and I went home. And that medal was burning in my backpack. I remember it. I felt so ashamed of myself. Not that I had done just 16 laps, but that I'd taken a medal that I did not earn. I had not earned that medal. So I felt very embarrassed. I didn't tell anyone, my parents, my friends. The next year I participated again. I did 20 on Monday, 20 on Tuesday, 20 on Wednesday, and on Thursday I did 24 laps. I felt I had earned the medal of that year, and also finally I had earned the medal of last year. I felt better about myself. But still, it took me about 30 years to tell this story to other people. I was still embarrassed. So I tell the story because there is this idea, particularly in the agile community, where you hear people say, oh, that's extrinsic motivation. Shh, bad. Extrinsic motivation is bad. Thou shalt be consumed in hell by fire. And I think, take it easy. Yes, a medal is extrinsic motivation, but the whole intention is that it brings out the best in a person. It was bringing out the best in me. Yes, I'm sure some other kids didn't care about it. They would just grab 3 medals or whatever. But I cared. And that is, I think, at the top over here. Storytelling, being your own hero, etc. Giving meaning to something. That is what such a medal can do. Sure, it is also accomplishment, but adding more meaning to something that you do is a very positive thing to do. And you can achieve that with something stupid like a useless piece of metal. You can give that meaning. So where is the adventure and fun in organizational change? I don't see it. I just see PowerPoint slides and the 2-day classes, and that's it. And then, all right, have fun with it. Fun? Where's the fun? I don't see the fun. There are no monsters to beat, to kill, or levels to win or something. So where are the celebrations for achieving new skill levels? Where's the boss monster at a certain level? I don't know. So I don't think we need more frameworks. We need a bit more fireworks. That's what I would look forward to. Last 10 minutes, and then you'll do a bit of an exercise with me to see if we can apply some gamification, or we'll see other people's gamification, how they apply that. But how people change first. As I said, I started running a couple of years ago because I hate sports. I hate sports from the bottom of my heart. I am convinced that I was born like this. This is my natural position. So this feels comfortable. So like this. And anything else is just it just costs me energy. But running, okay, I can do that anywhere. Just bring some trunks and shoes. So that's easy. But I had to trick myself, making running fun. And I learned from the habit books. Of course, I read about how to create habits, how to destroy bad habits. And what I learned is all those habits books and all those authors, they come up with the same model of 3 stages. Some different names, but always 3 elements to it. The first one is the trigger. Behavior is triggered by a person's personality and a person's environment. The famous formula by Kurt Lewin, a sociologist of the 50s of last century. And if you cannot change a person's personality directly, you can tweak the environment. You can do things in the environment that will have an impact on them with or without them being aware of things. So, for example, I read some suggestions. If you want to practice playing a guitar, place the guitar next to your favorite chair. So that whenever you have a coffee, you sit and you see your guitar and think, oh, a guitar. Let's play a few notes. Make it as easy as possible. Use that environment to your advantage. Don't hide the guitar somewhere in a closet, because it's too much effort to take it out. Translating that to work, if you want a team to start doing retrospectives, don't have them all walk to another meeting room and just organizing lots of stuff. No, maybe you can start at the kitchen or near the coffee machine where people already are. That would be a fine starting point as a trigger. At one point, I needed to work on my core muscles because I developed some minor issues while running, and my doctor said, well, duh, you have no muscles whatsoever anywhere, so work on that. So I had to do some push-ups, some bicycle crunches, and all terrible stuff. But I'm already too lazy to get a yoga mat out of a closet. But then I saw the carpet in my living room. Oh, that looks like a convenient place to do some bicycle crunches over there. So I used the environment to my advantage. When I was in the living room, okay, well, can just as well do a few exercises. I'm here anyways, and that worked. It was much easier for me. So I use the environment to trigger behaviors. And then the next part is after something is triggered, you have to make that effort as small as possible. Reduce it to the tiniest habit that you can start with. As someone said, your first runs, make it a 1 kilometer walk around the apartment block or something. The most important thing is you get out of the house 3 times per week at least. That is the habit that you want to develop. Once you have that habit, then increase the size of the effort. But if the effort is too big, people will give up too early. So the tiniest thing that you can do. And tip, put the running shoes next to your bed. So when you get up in the morning, ta-da, you're already in your shoes. The only thing you need to do is get out of the apartment. Maybe dress a little bit. That would be Would be nice. Well, not in Sweden, not needed, I think, but everywhere else in Europe. Yeah. So tiny habits, and then the result, the reward. The last part is important. It always has to end with a reward. Either that little cycle has to be something that's convenient, or it has to be enjoyable. But if it doesn't end with positive feeling, it's not going to be triggered again, that cycle. And this is the main problem, because if you're running only 2 kilometers, for example, the only thing you will feel at the end is bored or annoyed. I know from experience. You won't feel like, oh, I'm feeling so healthy. No, it's just you feel nothing. And that's where the gamification comes in. Basically, gamification can be a bridge to that ultimate destination where you want to end up, which is, as I did this morning, I ran 7 kilometers. I ran every day now, and I feel healthy. I feel good when I run more than just 2. But in the beginning, maybe you have to trick yourself. I gave myself chocolates. I live in Brussels, so on the days when I ran, I earned a chocolate. Very good motivation. Very good motivation. So that's how you gamify it. Or you say, oh, well, I'm going to extend the streak as long as possible. That's the motivation. That's the gamification that you apply. I feel proud of having a streak of 58 days and something like that. So with gamification, you can make the cycle close and it will start again, and then you increase the size of the habit over time. Well, how does this play out with change management programs? Do we change people's behaviors like that in an organization? No. We give them the full program right from the start. This is safe. 2-day class, certificate, good luck. That's not a tiny habit. That's a giant habit. Change doesn't work like that. No wonder people say, oh, there's no change. No, duh. All literature says that change doesn't work like that. You have to basically hide everything. That's what game designers do. Do you think that people who start World of Warcraft see the entire world from the start? No. They see a very, very tiny piece of the world. And then it almost takes no effort. You are able to complete level 1. Yay! Oh, you feel so good. You completed level 1. It was peanuts, that first level. But just you teach, you win the very small thing and you learn the basics, and then the territory is expanded. You get a few extra rules and an extra monster, which is still easy or something. So that's how game designers know how to pull you in and to develop that habit until you play 23 hours per week. Safe should be more like World of Warcraft. That's complete redesign that would be needed. So don't make things a rule, make things a habit. Rules is something we have for computers. Computers follow rules. People don't follow rules, they follow habits. So we have to understand how do those habits evolve in people. There's a very different technique needed. We give those tablets full of rules to computers. With people, we figure out how to make things a habit. Examples. I'll give you 3 examples and ask you what you think, how the gamification plays out. Easy one to begin with. For a retrospective sprint meeting, I spin a bottle to define which member of the team is going to participate next. That's what Mario said. We spin a bottle to decide who is going to be next. Which part of the octalysis model is this? Easy. Anyone? Just shout it out loud. Very good. Thank you so much. It took 10 seconds, but okay, slow audience here up north in Sweden. Unpredictability, yes, that's the whole gambling industry is focused basically on that part of the gamification model. We love things that are unpredictable. Are we going to win this time or not? Let's push the button again and we'll put in another euro, put in another euro. We need to satisfy that curiosity. We can't stand not knowing what will happen. What happens if I push this button? So that's the first one, easy. The second one, a bit more difficult. People even differ in opinion, that's okay. Nama said, in a project with 3 teams, we had one sprint board for all with a different card theme. Racing cars, superheroes, holiday symbols. They added something on top of the sprint to make it less boring. Which part of the model, the gamification model, would that be? Anyone care to shout out loud? Go ahead. Meaning. Yeah, that was my best guess as well. You give something meaning by making it into a story with heroes or whatever. The actual work is dull, perhaps, but by adding some things, and we're chasing monsters here. There's an app, Zombie Run, where basically people get to start running because they pretend that they are being chased by zombies. Just add gamification, add meaning. I mean to the habit. As if you're not just running but actually escaping zombies. Same thing. What about this one? I like this one. When I first, I introduced a cake limit on a team that I've been coaching with. It's just very simple. The work in progress limit on the done column is 40. It means when we've reached 40 items in this column, the only way to resolve that bottleneck when the product owner buys us cake and congratulates us on work well done. What part of the gamification model is that? A column with 40 items only really done when we get cake from the product owner. Which part is that? Accomplishment, yeah, and something else. Blackmailing, perhaps, yeah. Not scarcity, I think. Social, yeah. My best guess is a combination of accomplishment and social influence. Is we want to celebrate that we have 40 items done, and as a bit of fun, we poke the product owner. Hey, isn't it time for cake? That's social stuff. That's this team building and everything. It's social prodding. It's all on that part of the diagram. So to recap, everyone wants agility at scale, but nobody knows how to change. That's basically how I started. We want lots of change happening in organizations. But how that really works, God, so much complaining that change is not happening. I think that change is necessary because the world around us is changing all the time. We saw that. Nobody or except for one person, everyone is using smartphones, and all these changes, they happen all the time. So organizations have to be faster at changing, and that means they have to be more like shapeshifters. That means it should be easier to introduce change in an organization. And agility is not only self-organized. For me, it is more like self-balanced. Be able to self-organize sometimes, but do things in a controlled manner at other times. It depends on context. Also, that requires change. And all those frameworks full of good ideas. I don't hate the frameworks. I hate the concept of a framework. Just putting it together in one static picture, that is what annoys me a little bit, because things should be dynamic, like roadworks. It should always be under construction. Like World of Warcraft is not shown as one complete world to people. No, it starts with a very simple level, and then it builds up over time, and it gets bigger and bigger. So no frameworks, please, but have more fun and fireworks. That is what I look forward to in organizations. And last but not least, don't make things a rule. That's for computers, rules. Habits is what people follow. Those are the rules in our heads that we follow subconsciously. So how do we develop those habits? That's a fascinating topic, I think, for coaches and consultants. You want to take a picture? Go ahead. Take that picture. A fascinating topic for us speakers, authors, and coaches and consultants to figure out how to achieve that. So that's how I think agility works at large scale and a small scale as well. If you've been sleeping and just waking up now, this is the summary. You can take a picture of it. And I thank you so much for listening. Have a great night.